And then you do 45 minus 27, which is 18 over 4, which is 9 over 2. Here, if you plug everything in, you're going to get what in the numerator? What's 3 plus 5? And what's in the denominator? That takes a little bit more work. 3 minus 10, negative 7. Is that fraction the same value as this fraction?
Yes.
And the same value as with the negative out front? They all have the same value? Absolutely. Doesn't matter if the top's negative, bottom negative, whatever. It's a negative fraction, okay? All right. I want you guys to talk about this for just a moment on your own before I tell you. You need to think about this. Maybe the word undistribute will refresh your memory. Give it a try. Use the distributive property to rewrite this as a product. You have to undistribute if you remember what that is. So, undistributing means you look at each term and see what they have in common. And if this both have a y in common, I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to write it in front and then I'm put a set of parentheses. X times y divided by y leaves me with just what? X. 5y divided by y leaves me with what? So I undistributed. You're going to be doing that today too. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's have some fun. Solve the formula distance equals rate times time for t. So I want t by itself. It's being multiplied. How do I undo that? Divide both sides by r. And I just am kind of weird. I like to put the t on the left side because it bugs me otherwise. So I solved for t. The second part, that was the first part. The second part says, then find the time it takes to travel 312 miles. That's my distance at an average rate of 48 miles per hour. That's my r. So I'm just going to plug that into my D and my R. Oh, you guys are just speedy. There you go. Now, while you're working through some of these problems that may say use the perimeter formula and it doesn't give it to you, on page 26 there is a whole list of formulas that you might need to refer to, just to let you know, in this section. Okay. Oh, look at it. We get a fun formula here. All of you geometry folks, what is that formula for? Area of a what?
Oh.
Trapezoid. Area of a trapezoid. Okay? We need to take this formula. See, you did. We need to take that formula and we need to solve it for B2. So we have to take it apart and get B2 by itself. That's the first thing we have to do, and then we have to do a second part here too. So I would say, okay, I'm going to get rid of what's on the outside of the parentheses first. I mean, it doesn't matter what order you go in. I'll probably get rid of that fraction first. How do I do that? Multiply both sides by 2. So now I have 2a equals b1 plus b2 times h. I still have something outside the parentheses, so what should I do? To get rid of that, because it's h times that stuff, so divide by h. Now, I can remove the parentheses because I've gotten rid of everything outside of them. My last thing I have to do to get B2 by itself is what? Subtract B1 from both sides. So I'm going to subtract B1, and it's messy down here, so I'm going to come up here and write my finished product. So I actually now have B2 equal to 2 times A divided by H minus B1. Wasn't that fun? Now, it is. Okay, Now, number 2 says, find the length of the other base of the trapezoid if the length of one base is 13 centimeters. Since that's on this side of the equation, I'm going to make that be 1. The height is 10, and the area is 105. So I have everything I need to fill in the right side of the equation and figure out what the other base is. 2 times 105 divided by 10 minus 13. Can anybody do that in their head? Right on.
What?
Well, let's think about it. 2 times 105 is what? 210. Divided by 10 is 21 minus 13. You also can do that in your head. But you don't have to.
Yeah, I have to like use all my fingers.
Okay? Backside. All right. Solve for y, then find the value of y when x is given. So we don't need this right now. We just need to solve that equation for y. So I got to get y by itself. I need to write it bigger. I can't handle it. It's too small. Now, you have y being multiplied by 3 with this chunk of 5x being added to it. So if I'm trying to get y by itself, I'm going to get rid of this whatever's being added to it first. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. Three y equals 8 minus 5x. Last thing I have to do is what? Divide by 3. Y equals, you can leave it like this. I don't really care, but the book will often split that fraction up to look like this. 8 over 3 minus 5/3 x. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You might see it either way. Okay? Then it says I have to solve for y given that x is negative 5. So I like working with this one better. So I'm going to put in over here 8 minus 5 times negative 5 divided by 3. Let's talk it out. What's negative 5 times negative 5? Positive 25. So 8 plus 25 is what? 33 divided by 3? 11. So y equals 11. Oh, look at what's here. You have to do what? Like I said in the beginning? You have to undistribute because there's a y in both of these things. So since I got to solve for y, I'm going to start by pulling out the y and putting it in front with a set of parentheses. If I take the y out of there, I have 2x left. If I take the y out of there, I have minus 5 left, and it's still equal to 8. But I'm not done yet. I need y by itself, and it's being multiplied by that junk right there. So let's just divide by that stuff, get y by itself. So that goes away. And I have y equals 8 divided by 2x minus 5. If I plug in 3, I'm going to get 8 divided by 2 times 3 minus 5. What does that equal? Let's talk it out. 6 minus 5 is what? 1. 8 divided by 1. 8. Right on? Almost done. This is all one problem. Okay, Campus Bookstore sells t-shirts for $15 each and sweatshirts for $22 each. Write an equation for the bookstore's revenue R. What is revenue? The money they brought in. Whatever they sell, it's however much money they take in. From selling M t-shirts and N sweatshirts. I can't help it. I just have to do this because it helps me. I identify what my variables are. Even though it says it right there, I'm still going to write it over here. M and N. All right, I have to write an equation for the book's revenue R. So I'm going to have R equal to something. If all they're selling is sweatshirts and t-shirts, how are they making money? How much are their t-shirts? $15 for every t-shirt they sell. Plus, how much for every sweatshirt? 22 for every sweatshirt. That's the money they take in. Okay, now I have to solve the equation for M. So I got to get M by itself. So I'm going to get rid of this chunk being added to it. Subtract 22N from both sides. It's going to look like this. R minus 22N equals 15M. And then divide everything by what? Be careful that you put a line under all of it so that you don't get confused later, because if you're dividing this side by 15, it's got to be everything there. Okay? Okay. M equals R minus 22N divided by 15. In order for the bookstore to have $6,600 in revenue, oh, that's my R, from sales of these two items during the fall semester, how many t-shirts must be sold, t-shirts are M, if 150 sweatshirts were sold? So now I have R and N that I can plug into here and find M. Okay? M equals 6,600 minus 22 times 150 divided by 15. 220 t-shirts. Okay? Hold on a second. Here's your homework. Of course, it's on the homework calendar, but I will give it to you anyway. There you go.